What is going on, YouTube? Good morning. Actually, good afternoon now. This is Futures Brizio. Just doing our a Thursday trader talk here, lunchtime on the East Coast, 12:08 p.m. on Thursday, August 20th. Hope everybody's doing great. And I know this is my first video this week. Just nothing unusual going on. Just doing some regular market stuff. So we'll review kind of open trades, what's going on now, a few closed trades, and go from there. So if you're joining the live stream, make sure you say hello and let me know where you're chatting in from. And of course, if you're watching afterwards, make sure you can say hello in there too. Let me know. Drop a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. And that would be very, very helpful. Really appreciate it. So I'm gonna move over to the screen here, so I'm not gonna be able to see the chat per se. So I'll check back once in a while, but either way, we'll just push ahead here. All right, so we'll look at Forex first and see where we're at. So this is kind of the layout I've basically um, standardized on here for Forex. Again, using the range bars, I have the 150 on the left. You can see 150 range bars on the left, which means in Forex, that means each one of these candlesticks is 15 pips. These are not time-based candles. These are price-based candles. I think they're much better. They give a much cleaner view of the chart. They still are candlesticks, so it's not like Heikinashi, which are kind of weird the way they are calculated. But yet, so they leave it as candlesticks, but they do it based on price and rather than time. And so it doesn't matter. You're not looking at time frames. Your setting for the range bar kind of mimics the type of time frame equivalent you'd be on. So a 150 to a 200 range is about the equivalent of like a 4-hour chart. So that's kind of like a swing trading range, okay? And you can do this, like I said, I'm not going to rehash range bars. You can do this on any time frame. If you wanted to scalp, you could knock this down to like a 20 or maybe even a 50 range bar. So that would be 2 or 5 pip bars. If you wanted a position trade, you could go up to 500 or whatever. So, but I like to swing trade, like to be able to hold trades for at least, 24 hours, if not longer. And so this is how I do it. So I use the 150. The This is on the left. On the right is the 200. So I just clicked over here, changes this to 200. Not a big difference. Just the 150 gives a little bit more detail. Can help me fine tune my entries. But I do look at both. And overall, the 200 on the right just gives you more of the general pattern with less of the detail. Whereas the 150 is more of like my entry time frame where I like to set my alerts and also kind of make my take profit and stop loss areas too. Okay. But the 200 just gives me that kind of general direction at a little bit higher view. It's not a huge difference, but you can see the difference between the two is, a little bit more detail. That's all. All right. So, so let's talk about open trades. I do have a couple open trades right now. They're both in, or two or three. They're in drawdown right now, which is fine. I'm going to hold them, and we'll see what happens. If I get stopped out, that tonight or tomorrow morning, whatever. But I still think they're good trades. I'm just going to hold them for now, unless I see a reason to not. So let me just switch the screen that I'm sharing. I'm probably going to go back and forth a little bit. Um, okay, share this tab. All right. So now you should be seeing one of my funded accounts now. You can see I'm in Euro CAD long, pound US dollar long, and Euro New Zealand short. They're all in drawdown, not a lot. Here's some of my closed trades from just the last few days here. This filters, I think, for the last 20. Yeah, this is the last 24 hours. You can see, pretty good. I had a very small loss, a $270 win on New Zealand yen hit take profit, a nice short on pound New Zealand 725, and Aussie US dollar, $140. If I zoom this out a little bit, we'll go for the last week. Um, you can see, there's some more losses in here, but there's some good wins too. So overall, I'm up about $2,000 in the last week. So that's pretty good, and I'll take that. So going and looking again, we got Euro CAD long, pound dollar long, Euro New Zealand short. So we go back to the chart, and we'll look at this again. So New Zealand dollar short. Uh, so here's the NZD short, and I actually got in this morning. We had this pullback into the moving averages. I got in this morning. I think at this at this candle. As soon as I saw this paint and touch the upper moving average, I just decided to go short right here. And so I will. My stop loss is sitting just above this swing high right here, because if it breaks through here, that invalidates it, right? I mean, if it breaks through here, that means that this turns out to be a higher low, and then this is going to go higher. So, put your stop loss where your trade's invalidated. And to me, if it breaks this high, then the trade's invalidated, right? So be it. So you can see it came down, now it went up, and now it's reacting off the moving averages again. I don't like the fact that we didn't get any follow through to a new low, but so be it. I'm just going to hold the trade. So that's the New Zealand dollar, the Euro New Zealand short. Pound US dollar long. This one was, again, a bounce off the moving averages. You can see we're kind of going sideways. I'm actually not a big fan of this one right now because, first of all, it didn't really dive deep enough into my moving average structure like you see here, here. All these really deep pullbacks that actually dip below the moving averages but keep market structure are really the best ones to take. And so this one might have been a little FOMO trade, and you can see it's not really doing much. So I actually may close this one and just move on from that. Um, it's actually my smallest of my three losses right now, but so that's I'm not loving that one. Euro Canadian, um, Euro Canadian. I was long. I was thinking that we were going to see. This was again the candle I took it off this morning. We saw price start to break higher, pull back towards the moving averages, and then when I saw it break, this alert got triggered here. We had this move higher, and now you can see looks like maybe we're going to start bending lower. So those are the three trades I'm in right now. Not great, but the losses right now are still pretty small. So I may let them run to stop loss, but I may cut them. But just want to be, perfectly honest. I like to show, the good and the bad, and But the thing is, my losses are generally a lot smaller. Like we had this pound New Zealand short that I took, and I actually closed this out last night, I believe, on this pound New Zealand short, and I'm glad I did get out of it. I was short, right? Yeah. Um, because it looks like we want to go higher here. So, but it was a nice trade. Initially, it started, we were off this moving average. I think this is where I got out of it. Yeah, I got out of this last night and did, take a nice profit off of this. No, actually, it was here. It was up here. It was yesterday was Wednesday. Sorry. And then I got out of it last night. So it was a nice profit, but you can see now we've bounced higher. So I don't know if we're looking at, just weakness in the New Zealand dollar, or if it's pound dollar strength, pound strength. I did add one thing and I don't necessarily need this to trade, but you can see over here on the right, these are all the currency indexes. So it's not the currency pair, it's actually the index. Now, you don't trade these, but it basically gives you a view of just an individual currency against like a market basket of the other currencies. So the ZXY, for instance, is the New Zealand dollar. And so if I switch over to that, this is just the New Zealand dollar index. And it's using the same range bars right here. And you can see, there's not really a lot here to tell. It looks like we're trying to form a little bottom here. We came down, and looks like it's trying to go, but it's very choppy. So I don't think you can really make any determination of what this is doing right now. So I can't really go too much by that. And if we were looking at the pound New Zealand, if we look at the pound, also very range bound right now. You can see the moving average is just kind of going sideways and kind of twisting. It does look like it's trying to go higher, but overall, it's still essentially inside of this range right here. Okay. It's basically trading inside this range. So, not really a lot of action here, which is causing some of this choppiness. But this is just another way that you can use this as a confirmation tool if you want before you enter a trade, or you can just use it as a filter, or you can not look at it at all. Because, this is not exactly the same, but it does kind of give you, direction, or it tells you if there is any direction, at least in that time frame or that range bar that you're looking at. Again, this is still using the range bars. So, which is what I want to see. Now I could go to a higher range and kind of see what the overall trend is. If I wanted to go to like 500 here and say, okay, well, what's the bigger trend on the British pound right here? Well, it still looks like it's up. So, you know, that's something you could look at too. All right. So again, and I can look through here. Here's the Canadian dollar. Okay. So overall, the Canadian dollar, um, again, a little undecided, clearly was in a downtrend, but now it looks like we're struggling to go lower here. We try to go lower here, we snap back, try to go lower here, and now we're, looks like buyers are trying to come in. But again, we still have, valid market structure here. I mean, really, the market structure is sitting up here, but I would begin to question, look maybe for long, because if this area here gets taken out, price eventually comes and smashes back through these swing highs, even though these are not really valid structure areas because they didn't lead to a new low down here. This is more of your valid structure. Still, the way range bars work, I would definitely be looking at a different bias if it happened to come up and take these out. We can just click through here. Aussie, the Australian dollar looks pretty bullish, right? We did make a high pull back here, sell a buyer step back in. It looks like it's trying to go higher. So, you know, that looks fairly bullish right now. Swiss franc, I don't trade a lot of Swiss pairs anyways, but either way, right now this is looking bearish. Um, and the Japanese yen also looking pretty bearish too. It's been really getting hammered. We can put a nice trend line on this one. But anyway, so again, guys, these are, and then we have the US dollar index right here. Okay, which has clearly been getting beat up pretty badly. Okay. So again, guys, you can use these indexes on individual currencies. And the ideal thing, and I've talked about this way in the past. I used to use these a lot to trade with. Um, in fact, when I was using the currency strength index, that tool I was, several months ago, where I had that oscillator up here, that CSI index, was basically, that's what it was doing. It's basically comparing the two currencies from using an RSI guide to see, to guide, strong against weak. And obviously that's what you want to trade, right? You want to trade ideally a strong currency against a weak one. That's where you get the most volatility and the most momentum in the trade. Okay. Alternately, you could do a strong against a flat, or a weak against a flat, so you'll still get momentum, but the best ones are like a really strong against a really weak. It's like I talked about, it's that if you put two magnets together and you put their positive and their negative poles against each other, they'll push off from each other, right? So the more you've got that variance, the more the currency pair is going to move. So these are currency indexes, and like I said, you can use them as a filter. You can just use them as a confirmation tool, or they're just nice to look at to say, what is the individual currency likely to do? And you kind of, because when you're looking at a currency pair, you don't really know by looking at it like what's driving that momentum. All right. So if you see a big uptrend on the Canadian yen, let's say, you don't really know. I mean, unless you're really deep into the fundamentals, which, that's great if you really want to study heavily into fundamentals. But just looking at the chart, you don't know what's driving that move up? Is it the CAD or is it the yen in that case, right? If there's a downtrend, which currency is really strong, which one's weak in that pair. Well, if it's the CAD yen going up, then you know that either the CAD's really strong or the yen's really weak, or both. All right. But you don't really know exactly. But if you look at the currency index, then you can kind of say, okay, one of them is really strong, the other one's flat. So you know what's driving that pair. Okay. So I just take a look at these now. I don't necessarily base trades off them, but they're nice to know and, can kind of give me a little bit more expectations about what to think about a particular trade. All right. So I'm not going to cover too much more here in terms of Forex. Though you saw the trades I'm in and some of my recent ones in the last week. And, I'm looking here. The other one I had on my watch list is the Swiss yen. I did have an alert set down here. I'm going to actually move this alert down a little bit. You can see, this looks like a pretty nice little pullback, into the moving averages. That this can be a volatile pair. It can really have steep pullbacks. I do like this. And if you look over here on the 200, we're getting a much more bullish candlestick that painted here on the 200 range. But I'd like to see a little bit more momentum here and see this on the 150. Maybe get another candlestick break this little zone, this little 3 candle zone here. Um, I mean, you could draw a trend line on here too. And for me, if I was going to do a trend line break, it would be a break of this high right here. I'd want to see it come up and not just break the trend line, but break a previous swing high, because breaking a trend line can easily be a false break and a liquidity sweep. So I'd want to see it probably break this high right here and then look to long. So, but a little bit more aggressive entry would be a break above this little 3-way candle pattern. So this one's on my list, but I'm not in it currently. But it's something that I could potentially enter, maybe later today. All right. So those are the only ones I had on my watch list. I'm in 2 of those 3, or yeah, no, 3 of the 4: Euro, Kiwi, Euro, CAD, Pound, Dollar. I just showed you, and this is the only other one I had on my watch list today. I do have some other alerts set, but those are the only ones that I was looking at. As far as futures go, we just take a quick move over to futures. Um, I am not in anything right now. I actually closed. I had a corn trade yesterday. I don't know. Let's see if I can turn on my alerts. If I can turn on chart settings. Execution marks. I don't know why it's not showing it. Is it soybeans? Hmm. I don't know why it's not showing my update to the latest version. Anyways, I had taken a trade in corn. I'm out of it now. I got out of it at this high. I took a long off of here. You can see it's still going. I probably should have held it, but I didn't. I more day trade corn, but the bottom line is what I really want to show you is I didn't really have any other entries today. Again, just looking at the moving averages and how I generally like to do these. And so, yeah. So, anyways, so no trades right now in futures. I mean, we got some nice upward momentum going on a lot of these right now, just continuing to rally higher. And so this is on basically just crops and just demand, and so pretty typical for this time of year. I got these colors back. There was an update on the moving averages for TradingView. I don't know if you saw me do that. Click that update. I have no idea. Like, I don't know how they would change code. I mean, a simple moving average is a simple moving average. Like, there's no, I don't know how you would change it. But anyways, TradingView had a code change or an update on it, and of course it when I did that, it changed all my colors back to all blue. So I just had to change them back to the red and blue. But anyways, 2134 simple moving average is what I still use. Anyways, generally bullish in all these grains, so I'll wait for some pullbacks and see if I can hop on any of these on some pullbacks. But right now, pretty bullish. Some of these are looking really strong. Like if we look over on the right here, looking at the bigger picture on soybeans, we did come up to this swing high. You can see we're reacting off here, but if we can get a turn, move higher, then I think this thing will rally back towards these bigger highs here. Um, Not much in soybeans, wheat right now. We wait for a better pullback. Corn's just continue to rip up, and soybean meal again, nice uptrend. We just talked about that. We'll wait to see if that continues higher. And soybean oil, a little less confident on this one. You can see we've made a couple attempts to break through this big swing high and have rejected. So that one's not as appealing to me, at least on a short-term basis, unless we break this high. But there's a couple of these that are really nice. So we'll see if we can get some momentum here. All right. So, anyways, guys, I will leave it there. Don't want to just keep delaying. Just keep talking here. I just wanted to do a midweek check-in or a late week check-in here, and hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. Give you an update on those open forex trades if I decided to stay with those or get out, and if I decided to take anything else, we'll keep you posted on that. And if anything else comes up with futures. But again, I appreciate you watching. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments on any of these charts or range bars or anything else I do, feel free to leave it in the comment section. I appreciate all your feedback. And if you have anything else you'd like me to cover, feel free to do that. Happy to review. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all soon.